Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Oh, hey, buddy. Oh, yeah.
Jay Mohr, at JMohr37. I'm trying to get my socials up, JoJo.
I know. So far, so good, right?
Well, we got the views.
We got the views.
All you have to do is make fun of a woman, and you go viral.
That's why we have your wife here.
Here, speaking of making fun of women, my beautiful wife, Jeanie Buss. Hi, babe.
Hi.
I got to be honest with you guys. I'm a little nervous.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this is weird because
I'm not nervous at all.
That's great. Well, the joke can carry us. So, last episode, I broke down why I hadn't done the podcast in 3 years and 10 months, in case you're wondering. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Let's get the point of view of somebody that was on the other side of it, that was at the intervention. So, I got like knots in my stomach. And even this morning, like I realized, I don't know if you noticed, but I was a little, I just felt weird, and like our conversation was kind of stilted. It's like it really, it's an underrated traumatic experience. Like an intervention, so who first approached you about the intervention? Whose idea was it? I want names.
I think, I always get this confused in Hollywood. Agent or manager, Frosty?
Frosty's my agent, my stand-up agent. Matt Frost, Frosty the Showman.
At CAA.
Yep.
He, you were very good at always keeping us apart, like all the people in your circle, like we really never compared notes.
It's called triangulating, Joe. It's classic narcissistic trait. You triangulate, get people against each other. If I'm with her, I talk shit about you. If I'm with you, I talk shit about her.
The Bulls won 6 championships with this strategy.
Exactly. Joe. So it was Frosty.
Yes. And so
what's that like? Were you waiting? Were you like relieved?
No, it's like it was like I was so, you had me so, my head kind of spinning, you know, because we'd been in and out of a relationship for a few years. And, you know, like I would try to figure out some of your behavior. And I'm not a drug user. So like I really didn't know the signs of, you know, the stuff that would go on. And if I would ask you a question, you know, where have you been or whatever, you would turn on me. You'd get upset, or you'd get hurt, you know, that I ask you a question, like I don't trust you. And, you know, and so then I'd be like, oh, I can't, you know, give this guy a hard time, back off. Like you had me doubting every instinct I had. Gaslighting.
Yeah. So when you get that call from Frosty, what's your first feeling, your knee-jerk reaction?
I think it was kind of like, I think he'd kind of run out of excuses for you because you had become so erratic in him booking you, because you would cancel or you would show up and you were, you know, not on your best behavior at certain clubs. And, you know, it's like the feedback gets to him. And so I think he must have said something to me, and I said, well, I'm really glad you said that because I see something there too.
So suddenly you had an ally.
Yes.
You're not going crazy. Somebody else legitimizes your feelings for once, for the first time in like 5 years. Is that accurate?
Yes. And so then it just kind of went from there, because Frosty not only is your agent, but one of your best friends and somebody you lived with and knew you before, you know, all the fame and the money and, you know, like, so he knew what to compare you to. I only knew you as while you were abusing,
Yeah.
So like I didn't know, I really thought that you had some kind of mental disorder.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Well, I mean,
You know
if,
what I mean.
I mean, does drug or alcohol abuse qualify as a
Yeah.
mental
Yes.
illness?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
You know what's interesting is I went to a psychiatrist for about 3 years, diagnosed as manic depressive and type 2 bipolar. And then when I did the work that will remain anonymous, but particular steps involved, no elevators, you have to take the steps. It turns out my only mental illness is alcoholism. Because when you snort Adderall on the way, when you go, let me use the restroom real quick, and then you go and you snort 30 milligrams of Adderall and then sit down with a psychiatrist, he's like, manic. And then the next time you see him, you don't snort Adderall before you walk in, and you're like, and like mopey, he's like, oh, bipolar. So I was prescribed all these meds. And it took, by the way, I don't know if you've ever been on like any antidepressants or anything, Joe. You look
No.
like a guy that's on the waiting list to like go Michael Hutchins on us. It's amazing. When I wanted to get off antidepressants, my doctor goes, okay, so you're on 2 of these pills a day. So what I want you to do is I want you to break 1 in half and take 1 and a half for 30 days. And then check in with me and see how you feel. I feel okay. All right. So now you're going to take the 1 pill, get rid of the other half. Now you're going to take the 1 pill for 30 days. Then you're going to check in with me. Then you're going to break that one. It's like, bro, you can quit cocaine in an afternoon. What poison is this? It's like a 3-month detox to get off what's supposed to be good for you.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And that's a crazier detox than drugs, is getting off antidepressants. But that's all in my next book entitled, Who Gives a Shit? What Were You Actually Talking About? So the thing, you mentioned Frosty and me and my dates and my behavior being erratic. I didn't bring this up to you, but I think you'll love this. I learned after the fact that I think I was in rehab when I figured out when you guys were really all like, holy smokes, this guy's going to die. Joe will love this story. I was driving myself to Phoenix in February 2021 to do the Tempe Improv. I ran out of gas on the 10 freeway because when you're on Adderall, which helps you focus, the last thing you give a damn about is a gas gauge. By the way, that was the 3rd time I ran out of gas in February, and I got the car in February. So I ran out of gas like in the middle of the 10 freeway. Here's my thinking. I had a skateboard in my car. And I
like that Adderall turned you into an 18-year-old girl. It's like, how do gas gauges work?
There's gas gauges? What are all these bells? So I got my skateboard, and I skateboarded on the 10 freeway, the 2 miles to go to the gas station to get a gallon of gas and skateboard back. Live streamed it on Instagram to show everybody how committed I was to doing this gig. That I'm literally on a skateboard and 18-wheelers are like, like moving my hair. And I just thought, like, no, this is how I get down. This is how I...
People on the 10 just, hey, Jerry Maguire, get a car.
Hey, Bob Sugar, I didn't know you were Goofy Foot. Like, that's, in hindsight, that's so insane that I would skateboard in the slow lane of a freeway. And to me, it was completely normal. But is that like when you guys were like, he's going to die?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like it's even hard to laugh about it now. You're so good at like kind of helping use humor to process trauma, you know. So I mean, I can laugh about it because you're here and sitting here, but like we thought you were going to live stream your death, you know, and.
The views on that would have been.
I was waiting for her to finish.
So
I get enough for interrupting, so I'm glad you picked it up for me. That would have beat the Danica Patrick clip for sure.
So,
the grand irony.
Yeah, like that. You know, I mean, I cared about you so much. It wasn't about like, oh, the guy I'm dating it was about like this person that I truly care about, who's a father and, you know, just isn't living life in a good way.
And now I'm a daddy.
Yeah. Stop.
This is how we met on a podcast. So before you can ask, how did you guys meet?
Yeah.
I interviewed you on my radio show, J Mohr Sports, and I completely imagined that, like, she's totally into me. I could tell from this 6-minute interview over the phone, she's totally into me, bro. So then I slid into the DMs as the kids.
Were you into him on the phone?
He made me laugh. So like, yeah, so I was giggling, but like I was with somebody else at that time. So I really wasn't looking to, I just didn't know what was going on.
Nick Nurse.
Between us.
She was. So then I slid into her DMs and I was like, I got a podcast. You should come on the podcast. Complete other motive. Like, I wanted in, right? And she agreed to do the podcast. I had left my house in the middle of a divorce. I was staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and it wasn't until she said, I'm on my way. I'm about 15 minutes out. I realized I'm in a hotel room with a bed and a chair. This is a horrible look. Like, hey, why don't you just sit on the bed?
The old Harvey Weinstein playbook.
Allegedly,
that's all it's here.
I don't know what happened. You look really warm in those clothes. You like to wrestle? And so I ran downstairs and I got a suite. Like, okay, there's more space. And then, so I'm like completely like Peter Brady and the Brady Bunch running back and forth, like and then she goes, I'm downstairs, like right when I closed the deal with the room. So then I run down the hallway to greet her at the elevator, and the elevator door opened. Slow motion. Absolute love at first sight. Absolute, the woman of my dreams. Like, it became more of like, let's be honest, when you're a guy, it's a conquest. But it wasn't, I've known this person my entire life. Every childhood memory led me to right here. As goofy as this sounds, I'm just telling this, I don't lie.
Yeah.
Green elevator door, palm tree carpet, mirrored wood panel, wall, like in the back. And it was literally like Bo Derek on the beach, like slow motion. And then I found out it was absolutely not that for her. Tell when you started falling for me at the Improv.
Well, yeah, so that was like, say, April. And then a month or two later, you invited me to see one of your shows at the Improv in Hollywood.
Because once she sees the stand-up, it's all over.
Yeah, and so I said to one of my friends, like, I really don't know what's happening here. Like, will you go with me? Then I asked another couple friends so that I had like a table full of like.
She came with a platoon.
Protective. And so we're there for the show, and he's got us sitting right center, great table, really VIP.
Class.
And he walks out on stage to start his act, and he just starts emptying his pockets onto the piano. They have a piano on stage there. And I was surprised the kitchen sink didn't come out because he just kept going and going. There was like a water bottle and his phone and
keys. Yeah, like chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
I hate having things in my
a
pockets
rolled
on
pack
stage.
of
I don't even
Red
like this is bugging me now.
Yeah.
I hate having things in my pocket on stage. It messes up the contour of this pretty package. So I just start emptying my pockets and go.
And I'm just like, this guy, what a mess.
But how does what a mess translate to I want to date him?
It just showed me that you were vulnerable, that like you weren't, my interpretation was like, this guy isn't, too much of a narcissist. I would not call you a narcissist at all, but.
You know what Norman Lear called me?
What?
A sufficient narcissist.
Okay. So meaning you would allow the audience to see you not perfect, right? Like you were kind of a mess. So like you let us in, you kind of pulled us in, showing your vulnerability.
I didn't give it that much thought. That's interesting because my whole act is, I think I get away with so much stand-up wise, like knocking the people I knock and the situations I knock, because at the end of it all, I'm the biggest dope. Like it's like Seinfeld said, you're either above the audience or you're beneath the audience. Mm-hmm. So I present myself as beneath the audience, but then by the end of the show, it's like kind of a con. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have a question about you performing for her for the first time. You've been doing stand-up a lot longer than I have, but I've been doing it long enough where now nothing really makes me nervous except a girl I'm trying to impress there for the first time, because you got one shot at this. You can't be like, usually I kill. You know, were you nervous to have her there, or you just, this is what you do? You've done this for so long.
Every single time I invite somebody to come see my stand-up, it's a mistake. And I do it all the time. Oh, I'm going to be in Portland. You should come see me do stand-up. Like, not girls, but like guys in the program, like whatever. And every single time, it's the biggest pain in my ass. Like, Joey Diaz, I heard talking about it on a podcast. He's doing like a theater in New York City, and he's backstage getting ready, and one of his friends texts him from the showroom, "Where's the bathroom?" It's like, bro. But you do it yourself because you want to be like Mr. Helpful and Mr. This. But was I nervous? No, because there's like, there's a show-off in me always. So the show-off in me in that particular, usually yes. The worst is you see a sea of anonymous people and Dan's right there. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, here's a group of, and my friend right, and they're always right in the front. Go in the fucking back and be a worker among workers. But with her, it was more, I think, the show-off, like, I'm going to make this great, which is very odd.
But then, you know, so I, you know, my girls that I was with, I said, okay, like as soon as the show's over, we're leaving. We are not going backstage. Like if he asks, like we're not going, we're like, you know, I'm not picking up. If he tries to call me, I'm not going to pick up the phone till we're in the car driving away. So now he calls me and I said, oh, we already left. And he goes, so did I.
Yeah,
like he was already gone. So
no, I'm a quick out. Do you know that about me?
No.
Oh my God.
Oh, I walk off stage to my car. How often? Ask me.
How often?
Every time. I've done it. I don't get nervous going up, and I'm completely comfortable when I'm there. The moment I step off stage, I'm filled with panic. It's very weird. It's like reacclimating to real time. The sin of banality and small talk, it becomes so... Me and Daryl Hammond had a great talk about this once. He's the same way. Like, hey, right when you walk off stage. And people just want to go, you were great. It's like letting somebody read your poetry in like high school. It's like, if they don't like it, go fuck yourself. And if you do like it, it's like, yeah, I know. That's why I let you read it. It's really weird. It's still to this day. Like I have to fight to stay present to meet people after my show. Usually I just bounce. So let's go back to this intervention. By the way, I thought she did my intervention, which we talked about last episode. So I was completely mean, rage packing, staring you in the eyes. It turns out she was the hardest one to get to the intervention.
Not to get, like everybody kind of ganged up on me. Like Jeannie's in love with this guy and she's not going to be hard enough. Like in other words, you'd be like the scene in the Blues Brothers. I always tell you when Carrie Fisher finally catches up to John Belushi and he, you know, he's like, don't like because he stood her up for their wedding and he's like, but babe, I love you. I you know, the toast burned, he's giving her all these excuses. And then the only time in the movie he takes his sunglasses off and he gives her the eyes and she goes, oh, Jake. And he grabs her and kisses her and then drops her in the mud and takes off. That's you. Like I would be like, I'd get my strength up to confront you, but I just, you know, I'm in love with you, so I could never be the one to put the hammer down. And that's what they were afraid, is that I would protect you too much.
Well, I mentioned last episode you bought a house to move to if I didn't agree to go to treatment. She was going to move to another house and not tell me where she lived.
Yeah, well,
granted, it was next door.
Well, no. I mean, he I said, look, I am not going to say no. I'm not going to see you, but what I'll do is I'll hide, so he can't find me because that, I can't turn my back on him that way. If he's knocking on my door, I can't.
It was funny when I was in treatment. Matt Frost, my agent, and the guy Chappie from South Boston, they would call because they had like a right of information with the place because of HIPAA laws. You got to clear people. And my my one-on-one therapist was a gay man, and he's like, so Frosty and Chappie, are they married? Because all they did was argue. He saw they argued like a married couple.
Well, who's known you longer? Which one?
Wow, that might be a tie. It might be Chappie by like a month.
Yeah.
Because I met Chappie. He was
You met them at their wedding.
I met them at their gay wedding.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, right. Yeah, before it was legal. I met Frosty. So here's the thing with Matt Frost, my agent, who's the best agent. He had Dane Cook, Cat Williams, me, and now it's like he does me on his drive home because I'm like I go out every other weekend, kind of. Until this podcast hits, the thing was my manager Barry Katz, man. We were doing MTV Spring Break. I don't even know if you know this story. And in Daytona or Fort Lauderdale, wherever it was, they couldn't handle there's not enough drivers back then. There's no Uber, so there's not enough drivers to cover 75,000 people showing up on Tuesday. So they just hired college kids to pick people up at the airport. So Matt Frost was one of those drivers. He was 18 years old.
Wow.
No way.
And he picks Barry Katz up in his pickup truck with a license plate that says M Frost 17 because he was a baseball player and that was his number. And Barry's like, "All right, man, you got me. This is showbiz first class. I'm in the back of a Toyota Tundra, man." So they hit it off, and Barry goes, "If you're ever in town in New York City," and he hands him his business card, "I'll put you to work." And then that weekend, Barry's telling me, like, I'm my driver, this guy Frosty. You didn't meet Frosty? And 4 days later, we're back in New York, and Frosty just comes into his office. He drove from Orlando up to New York, and for 2 years, he sat on the floor. He didn't have a desk, an office. He sat on the ground, sorting mail, folding envelopes, going to the post office. This is before Stamps.com. And then he lived with me for 2 years. And I said, okay, listen, from now, moving forward, anytime Barry, because Barry was my manager, but he was also booking my stand-up, which is a horrible conflict of interest, by the way. I said, anytime Barry books me, I'm going to have him do it on speakerphone, this new invention, speakerphone, and I want you to be in the room so you learn how to book me. And he's like, all right. And then I told Barry this, I had some heat, so I'm like, this is how it's going to be. And then 2 years after that, he bought New York Entertainment from Barry, and he's been my agent ever since.
Wow.
So when that guy says, I'm not going to book you anymore, that was a full stop. This is bad. Because if I'm not going to be booked by the guy who was my best friend since he was 17 and I was 20, and saw me through Jerry Maguire, through this, through 2 divorces, through... Like, who's going to book this guy?
Yeah, it's like your mom saying you're not invited to Christmas.
It's exactly like that. If my mom was Matt Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the big, like, thing. Like, if I'm not a comedian, when am I going to get a job? I don't know how to do anything. I get a parking ticket, I hand it to her. That's not a joke. Like, I literally go, I got to park. Like, I don't know. You got to go online or something. I don't know how it works. All my money's in an office in New York. All my bills are paid through that office, and this guy does this thing and that. Like, what am I going to go? What am I going to do for? Like, go to Home Depot? Like, hey, are you a guy from Jerry Maguire? Yeah. You said Phillips Head, right? Drive around. Poodle, when did you exhale in this? Because there's intervention, then you go to rehab for 30 days. Then there's another rehab after that for 30 days, a separate rehab.
Yeah.
Then I come home. So I come home, I get my 60-day chip home. 6 months, I remember I took a chip at this place. My doctor was there. It was very odd. I'm like, oh, the one I never manipulated either for pills. 6 months, 9 months. Like, when did you know what I mean?
I honestly thought that you had some kind of brain damage.
Well, that's still debatable.
I mean, I thought there was really, I mean, it took months for me to to think like this is going to turn out okay.
Oh.
You know, because I thought that, you know, and it's funny because I don't know if you talked about this, about the two different rehabs and like their approach to recovery.
No. So the first rehab was all men's Christian Mexican rehab, and it was, in hindsight, phenomenal. The second rehab was like the bougie, it'll remain, we'll keep it off the air, bougie, you know, chef, 3 meals a day, massage once a week. You get your massage. It's co-ed, a lot of groups, a lot, like it's a palace overlooking San Francisco Bay. It's gorgeous. And I don't know about the approach because I'm on the inside. It's
Right.
like, you want to talk about being gaslit? Go to rehab in a place where it doesn't work out, because the second place did not work out. I was there on a scholarship through Comedy Cares, which was such a godsend because it was in the second rehab that I started getting my shit together. I was there on scholarship, so I'm there for free pretty much. And this is like a $5,000 a day place. They did not want me there. In hindsight, I know that now. And like my first week there, they pulled me out of a meeting and they said, listen, somebody on our night staff saw you coming back onto the property last night at 3 a.m. getting out of a black SUV. And I was like, no, they didn't. Because it's just nonsense. And they go, well, now's the time to be honest. It's like, well, I don't have a wallet, credit cards. I don't have a phone. I don't have a car. And oh yeah, I don't know where the fuck I am because you just dropped me off. And they're like, well, we have to re-quarantine you. So I got re-quarantined for a week. No book, nothing. They just pulled me out of a meeting. I have nothing. I'm in a room with 4 walls going crazy. Then there was something that I won't say on air. And then I got kicked out of that because a girl said and I didn't. So that's like, so when you talk about their two different approaches,
Right.
I don't know what their approaches are. Because
Well-
I just know that second place, just obviously it was not a fit.
Well, the first one was more of a spiritual,
It was straight Christian. Yeah.
right? And then the second one was more what I thought would be good for you because it was more about the brain.
Yeah.
And like figuring out how your brain processes. So it was like more a scientific approach. And the first, it's like I had no idea how spiritual you are until you touched into that program that found it in you. And that is what was profound. And that was what the difference was, as opposed to like, okay, he's got brain damage and they need to figure out how to like medicate this. Like,
I don't think you
brain
realize how gaslit you were because I denied being on any drugs
damage.
through the intervention. All I'm on is what I'm prescribed.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'll go. Cause
And you believe that, Jeanie? Or you knew?
No, I knew because there would be pills that I would find that like I didn't know what they
forgetful
were,
drug addict.
and like I would like take a picture of them, and then I try to like research on the internet, and all I ever wanted to do because I was so like he had my brain so twisted about what I was seeing, and then he would deny it, and I'm like, no, but I saw it. I just wanted to catch him red-handed so bad, just so I could get the validation. And I mean, I had friends that were, you know, like they didn't want me to see him anymore because they saw what it was doing to me. You know, I mean, I have a very high pressure job, and then to be in a relationship that put me on a roller coaster, it was a lot for me to try to like just keep my 2 feet on the ground and like try to figure out what was real and what wasn't real in my personal life and my work life, because you know, I had to go to court with my older brothers about the Lakers, and I was going through all that. And, you know, surprisingly, when you could focus on me, you were the closest person and you understood everything that I was going through, and you were so supportive. So I depended on you so much, but you made yourself not dependable.
Yeah.
And you put
drop
me in
you
like,
in the mud.
Yeah, exactly.
I carry fish for you in the mud.
Yep.
That's so. When did you exhale? Like can you give a time frame of? Because I have no idea.
Has that happened yet?
No, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I watched the relationships because he had no friends. Like he had, people he did some work with, but like he had no like friends, like outside of, people who work for you or me. And so once I saw he was developing a community of people that were of the like mind and trying to accomplish, and I just saw this personal growth of somebody that became dependable and took pride in, doing the simple things in life and being there and, being a father. And
I'll write a year. I'll put you down for a year.
well, I mean, I think really because, and I make a joke about when he got on one knee. And
oh, okay. So hold on. So, yeah. So I proposed to her when I weighed 240 pounds and I was bald before I had hair transplant surgery. Hit me up on the DMs. I'll put you in touch with the best guy. So go on one knee.
Well, I mean, and so, because I mean, like I said, I didn't go into that intervention like going, oh, good, I'm going to get a boyfriend out of this. It was like to save your life and to get
I'm
you.
with you. I thought we were done.
Yeah.
I in rehab, the first rehab was all like, well, that's that.
Yeah.
And Christopher Park just kept going, just not slow your roll. And Edmund Volk was like, more will be revealed.
Okay.
More will be revealed.
Thank you.
More will be revealed.
Thank you, Edmund and Christopher.
And I was like, And it was the second rehab that I didn't want to go to, which was a fucking chaotic. How about this? Second rehab, I come home, I'm talking to Matt Frost on the phone, and I go, so I'm going to ask Jeanie to marry me. He goes, hold on, JJ, I thought you were gay. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I go, we lived together for 10 years. Like we've double dated. You were at my 2 other weddings. Like what part of this he goes, well, the rehab said you identified as a gay man. I'm like, now I think he's kidding. I go, no. And he keeps saying, it's okay if you are. I go, stop saying that. Because that means you don't believe me. I go, first of all,
This is what happens when you go to rehab in San Francisco.
Right. Like what?
They just check that box automatically.
What part of, by the way, talk about a HIPAA law. What if I was gay and my friends beat the shit out of me? Like who, like what? It was like, he just kept like what they really sold him that I was like, part of his problem is he doesn't know he's gay. Like, and never came up in any group, never came up in any one-on-one because it wouldn't, because do I sound like I'm arguing too hard?
Yeah.
It was just like, now I know what it's like to be gaslit. I just felt like that second place completely gaslit me. And now I know, it's like I was with the addict in that relationship. Marron. So I propose fat and bald.
Yeah. And I guess that's when I knew this is real. Like this is.
Oh, wow. Like 2 years.
Yeah. Like that. Well, that you're, that you're who I thought you were going to be. And
I gave you no proof to go on that I would turn out to be the man you married. Yet, you just said something amazing. You're who I thought you were.
Yeah.
Which means you saw something in me that I had no idea that existed.
I always saw that in you. That's why I couldn't understand all the chaos and the craziness and the denials and the fights we would have when it's like you would scare me.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said you saw that in him, but you're an extremely successful person. You got a lot on your plate every day. you see it in him, but he's hurting himself. He's hurting the other people in his life. You love to think it's in there, but at what point do you just go, hey, maybe I'm wrong? Like, what made you stick with him through it and not just say, hey, get healthy and give me a call, and maybe I'm still single and it works out, but if not, tough shit.
No, I mean, I tried that, over the years to try
there was
to.
a lot of breakups.
Yeah, and I tried to date other people, and but
Names.
my heart was with him. Like it's like something, I fell in love with him, so I was in love, but it wasn't like, okay, good, I'm gonna like get this guy through rehab, and then now I've got a boyfriend, and
That's extraordinarily healthy. In my journey of sobriety, it's usually the other way, where it's like, I'm going to get him healthy and we're going to get married, and it doesn't work. Yeah. It's a classic airplane, put your own oxygen mask on before you can even deal with this person. And that's what I did. And I remember I would text you everywhere I was. And we went to a therapist before we got married. Just everything was fine, but we're going to make sure it's fine. Maybe there's some tools we can have before we get married. And you brought it up to Lee, our therapist. You're like, and he's always texting me where he is. Like, is he rubbing my nose in it? Like, and I was like, oh no, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Finally. And I'm just sharing that with you because that's what you've earned going through me never being where I'm supposed to be. And you were like, oh, but I don't want to get too far from the fact that when I proposed and got on one knee, I had a hard time getting up. Yeah. That's, I believe, where you were going. Yeah. Fat and bald, newly sober. Do you know what happened? Where our whole marriage thing is, when I was in the first treatment place that I loved, the first one, I had two places. We lived in the same apartment building, and I also had the place in Malibu. Malibu was on the beach, on the water. Like at high tide, the water would hit the seawall and then hit my windows. It was the best. And when I'm in rehab, my landlord, Carl, put all my shit out on the beach and told my family, come get his shit, the tide's coming up. Like, there's a clock. Otherwise, like, he'd had it with me.
He evicted you.
He evicted me. Like, that's it. I'm out. 2 years sober, we get married on that beach by Carl.
Wow.
As the tide's going out. Like, if I read that, I'd be like, this is the corniest. But it's amazing. Our wedding was the best. There was like 8 people there. So if you weren't invited to the wedding, 8 people. You know what we fed them, Joe? Nothing.
No, we had food.
It was up to me. If it was up to me and you, we would have just went to
cake.
We would have just went to the courthouse, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be barefoot, so being on the beach was perfect. And
she when I heard her, "Here Comes the Bride," and you came down those stairs, I just start crying. I'm like, I have to get my shit together. I can't do vows because I'm crying. And here's the other thing. I don't know if I ever told you this. The entire time we're standing there with Carl being married in front of our friends, in my mind, talk about a mental illness. I'm like, oh, it all comes to, this is where she breaks up. Now she has an audience to get even.
Wow.
That's going, like, not 100, like 20 low-grade fever, 30% like, oh, I'm so stupid, I didn't see this coming. She gets an audience, it's being filmed, and she goes, you put me through hell, go fuck yourself. And then, she looks over. Here comes Superman, Dean Cain, ladies. I don't know, just random guy I could think of. I thought that, and it wasn't until you said, I do, where I felt the piano come off of my back. And I realized I'm never going to be alone again. One of the most ridiculous gifts, and in recovery in general, people, with the men in my life in recovery, you hear it all the time. The best gift you can give somebody is your time. It's like, yeah. I'm a child of an alcoholic. These guys always made time for me. No one ever made time for. I'm not shaming anybody. Like, I was the youngest by 6 years. Alcoholic mother, father worked in New York City. It was just like I just woke up every day feral. Like, where is everybody? And when are they coming home? I think dinner's at 6. That's the baseline in my house. And then you get sober and you call a guy at like 1 a.m. because you're like you're kind of freaking out, and he just goes, yeah, what's going on? What's up? 8 a.m. Hey, what's up? And the guy tells you, can you call me every day between 7 a.m. and 7:30? Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way this is an actual reliable system. Every morning. Hello? Hey, buddy. Hey. And when I missed that call early, twice I missed it, my sponsor goes, how are you going to get sober if you can't do one thing? And he hung up on me. And I was like, oh, he's never going to say that to me again. But then with you, I didn't know how much of a fear. Well, I knew a little bit from step work that the underlying fear of all of my behaviors, all of my actions and reactions to life is a fear of being left alone, because I was always left alone. I'm going to be alone. I'm not safe. And when you said I do, it went away. Like 50 fucking years of hand-wringing and knot in the stomach, anxiety and panic attacks and special blankets as a little kid and little whoobies and this and that and gone, like Mary Poppins. It was so, I never told you that face to face.
It's really nice. Well, when I said I felt like finally that I could exhale when you proposed to me, I thought we were at that place where, I wanted to marry you. I loved you. But, like a year passed, almost 2 years passed, and you were slowly building back your reputation.
Yeah.
Because you had burned a lot of bridges, you burned a lot of people, and your name was Mud. And you had to go and play the clubs that you stood up and show and be that guy. And I kept thinking, okay, I never went into this thinking like we were going to get married or it was going to be happily ever after as a romance. It just seeing you thrive, seeing your son thrive, that was like fulfilling to me. And then when you proposed, I had no idea that you were going to propose, and that what you were doing was that you were earning money to buy my ring.
Yeah.
Because you had gone through all your
That's
money.
why I was on the road so much.
Know.
It wasn't to build my reputation. It was to get the girl.
Well, it was to build your reputation back. But
I never even realized that. You didn't know?
No, I had no idea. I had no idea. So then, that's why this ring means so much to me, because you
my most valuable possession in my life.
Worked your ass off for it.
I got the girl. What a consciousness.
A lot of pressure buying a ring for somebody who's got a lot of rings.
Right.
No? Because I could have gotten her like a Wendy's hamburger and proposed, and she would have said yes. She's the most you know why she wears that ring all the time? Because little kids see her and they get to try it on.
Oh, the Laker ring.
Yeah.
But this ring.
What'd you think he meant?
Yeah.
A lot of rings, Laker rings.
I know, but
He didn't mean you're some hooah.
No, but meaning
rings.
like you nailed it. Like you.
Hold it up for everybody. It's a perfect ring.
It's like perfect for me. I love it.
I like what you said. Wait, is that the 2020 ring?
Yeah.
I like when you said we were doing an interview and you go, LeBron got me this one. Yeah. JJ got me this one.
Yeah.
Women of Wrestling.
Yes.
Okay. So my wife owns Women of Wrestling, which is her partner, David McLean. Hi, David. Used to own Glorious Ladies of Wrestling. Glow. And let's be honest, Glow. Let's be honest, the ladies this time around a little more glorious than the ladies, Moolah in a leotard, fabulous Moolah.
Yeah, that's why I got involved in Women of Wrestling, because there's so many great female athletes.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, women didn't participate in sports like they do now. And so the level of athleticism is so different than
it is true.
30 years ago. Now, it's like when they would do casting calls for Glow, it was like actresses, and they're wearing pantyhose and a leotard. And now when we do casting calls for WOW, these are serious athletes. You know, we've had a former boxer, we've had former Olympians,
Stunt ladies.
You know, stunt women, Division I college athletes. And, you know, they deserve a platform to, you know, all that dedication of, you know, of playing a team sport or participating in whatever to get a college scholarship. And now, unless you're going in the WNBA or becoming a tennis player, going on the tour, where do you get to really shine and have a platform to show not only your athletic skills, but your performance skills? And, you know, I fully expect at some point we'll have the next Dwayne Johnson or John Cena, you know, that just somebody that the camera loves, that can, you know, project, but a female.
So I'm a wrestling nut. Like, I grew up, Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco battles for the Intercontinental WWF Championship. Bob Backlund was champion. He was a joke. It wasn't until Hogan came in and, you know, took care of it all. And women's wrestling was always, let's be honest, it was very subpar.
Yeah, or sideshow was.
It was
never,
a sideshow, like watching the little people wrestler, or like the 3 guys against 1.
Yeah.
I went to WOW with that expectation. Like, all right. And I'd watch it on TV. It's on the CW. It's different times in different cities, but it's I love it. If you like pro wrestling, you're going to love WOW. And if you don't like pro wrestling, you're going to love WOW. JoJo. I went to WOW taping. I'm embarrassed at how I acted. Like, I was the 12-year-old screaming at like Razor Ramon that he stinks. I went crazy. And it wasn't sub or mid. It wasn't mid. It was fucking bananas. Chicks kicking the shit out of each other. There was a match where they had I've only seen men do it, where like they hate each other so much that they have all the other women wrestlers around the ring. So if you get out, you get thrown back in. And then they both fell out, and then they all just started fighting each other, and it went to the locker room, and it's like, to be continued. Instead of saying where do you watch WOW? How can people go see it live? Like, is that like, do you send out emails? Is it like a flyer?
Yeah, we do. I mean, but we tape all the shows, you know, in a short amount of time. So
like doing a game show.
Right. And then the women have gone through training. So you got to keep them while they're in shape. You got to, like, you know, keep them working. And so someday my dream is that WOW goes on tour and, you know, does that. But, you know, we're in our 3rd season of syndication. People can go to our website.
If you're taping, that'll be on the website for sure.
Oh, yeah, when we do tapings. But that's usually in the summer.
Okay, just trust me. I told you off mic. You're going.
I'm coming.
I can't even, look at me.
Yeah.
And you know me. I'm not a shill.
Yeah.
You know me a while, and you know me in my core. It's bananas, dude. It's bananas.
Yeah.
If you were a pro wrestler, what would your finishing move be?
Oh, I don't know.
Joe. What would your name be and your move? Something where you wiggle your mustache.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show us.
That's a good one.
Show us a little mustache wiggle. Yeah, that's when the crowd's like, oh no, he's going to do it. Who's your favorite pro wrestler?
Oh, growing up, I loved Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, okay. And he's like the worst.
I know.
Everybody hated him.
I know. But like, it was
not everybody, meaning the wrestlers.
It was like, first it was Hulk Hogan. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a kid of the '80s, so it's Hogan. And then everybody, you know, it's like, who's your favorite wrestler? Everybody says Hulk Hogan, right? In the '80s. But then Ultimate Warrior comes around, he's shaking the ropes and everything, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for the other guy.
And he would sprint into the ring.
Yeah. And then you said Razor Ramon. I like the bad guy. You know.
I loved Razor Ramon so much. However, it wasn't until we were watching a documentary on Diamond Dallas Page. When Diamond Dallas Page threw the diamond cutter on Razor Ramon, they were going to bring him into NWO, and he shook Razor Ramon's hand. They gave him the leather jacket, NWO. He shakes Razor Ramon's hand and then pulls him to him, and fucking Diamond. That, to me, is the greatest heel turn in the history of wrestling. And now I'm all in on Diamond. And he became champion at like 38. And he's a Jersey guy.
And Macho Man's got to be in there. Macho Man. Oh yeah.
If you were a pro wrestler, what would your walk-up music be?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me think about that. You know, we were talking about it during your intervention, but it might have to be some like Wu-Tang. You know, you remember the Method Man opening where they're just talking about all the torture, like.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a if you were a fighter, what your song would be?
No.
Come on.
I'm a promoter.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeanie McMahon. So you were talking about 80s, and we're going to wrap this up. You were talking, like and subscribe. It's important. It helps us, and it helps me not have to go on the road and be away from my wife and my kids. Don't you want me to have a happy family life? We're talking about 80s women in sports and how far women's sports have come. 1980s, there was only one female athlete that you can even name, probably.
Mary Lou Retton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to go Billie Jean King.
Okay.
Martina Navratilova.
Yeah. It's like on one hand.
Yeah.
It wasn't like now with the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reese and the this and the that. And All right. I'm so happy you came on. I was nervous all morning. I was like, because it's like, wow, last time we sat like this, it was at an intervention. Any final questions, JoJo?
Can I ask a basketball question while we have you here?
Can't talk about players not under contract.
No. Just overall NBA question. There's a lot. I'm a huge NBA fan. Have been my whole life. I think that the NBA is better than it's ever been. And not a lot of people agree with that. But I think that the quality of the game is beyond anything I ever imagined as a kid watching the bully ball 90s Knicks. You know, there are guys
Final score 88, 86.
Guys on those teams would be laughed at an NBA tryout today. But there's all this talk about the ratings. Mm-hmm. It feels like if I was in your shoes, TV money just keeps going up. Your franchise keeps getting more valuable. LeBron James has more followers on Instagram than every Major League Baseball player combined. Feels like it's doing pretty good. Are you as an owner, does that rating stuff just kind of, you shrug it off, or is it a big concern?
Well, I think every league is going through the same thing because the audience is shifting where they're going. The same thing happened in the early 90s when the NBA was on NBC, and that's when they had Friends, and that they were the number one network, and MJ was playing, and it was like and then all of a sudden it was like the ratings started to go down, and we were like, wait a minute, like we're on the best network, and Michael Jordan, and it was because people were going into cable. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't that people weren't watching NBA, it was just they were
watching other things too.
Right. So now we had to go where our audience was going. So it's kind of the same shift, and just really trying to figure out the timing of how everything's going to go, because obviously streaming, everybody's going to be looking to see how Netflix did with the NFL game, their first foray into sports, and what those numbers are going to look like. Amazon's done a great job with the NFL making their broadcast different so that people want to make sure that they have their Amazon account so they can watch. It's just really figuring out how the audience wants to consume our game. And so you can see from our last deal, we have everything. We've got over-the-air, cable, and streaming. So,
Yeah, I look at ratings today. It's like people go, oh, so many people watch the Game of Thrones finale. It's like a tenth of the people that watch the MASH finale.
Right.
When you could only watch the one thing. One more question on this topic, and you feel free to decline to answer if you'd like. But I find it interesting on like the Twitter sphere and the internet talking heads. There seems to be a divide between people who are supporters of the NBA, like myself, and people who are just like, the NBA's gone to shit, all the players this, and the game stinks. It does feel like there's almost a political divide. It feels like there's a conservative batch of people that have it out for the NBA. Is that something that you guys are aware of? Do you see that?
I think that it's just, that's what's happening in our world today is
Division.
It's like everybody wants to take one side against the other. So, everything's kind of like 51-49%.
Yeah.
I love when you say that. For the rest of our lives, it's going to be 51% to 49%.
Yeah.
And all you can do.
The only thing that will unite us as a world will be if we were invaded by aliens, right?
Right.
So then we'd all go, wait a minute, we're
Yeah, it's
all
like-
Earthlings,
yeah.
so we need to stick together.
We kind of have been.
Yeah, it's like you hate your brother until somebody messes with your brother,
Yeah.
and then
Right,
you got
right,
his back, right?
right.
Yeah, man. Look, the internet, I've seen Instagram people arguing about math in the comments.
Yeah.
Like when they put out, it's like, no, that's not, it's like, it's math.
Yeah.
How are you guys arguing about math? It's not real. As Dave Chappelle says, I don't care about that because it's not real. But you should follow me on Instagram. More Stories Podcast. I love you.
I love you too. And keep talking about recovery and what's possible in life, because I think you give people a lot of hope and you're fearless and you help people process through humor, because
Step 12.
It
Carry
just-
this message.
well, you're doing a great job and I support you in that. And
Oh, as you've proven that.
keep
Jeez Louise.
keep using your voice, because
If life was fair, I wouldn't be married to this gem right here. You're the best.
You're the best.
Great Christmas, huh?
Yeah.
We nailed it. There was one present. I'm like, don't open that in front of the kids.
Oh yeah.
More stories. See you later, guys.
Jay Moore's my uncle.